Charboneau and David Lynn Miller.
Welcome to Dudes on Movies. I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And today we're discussing 1949's The Third Man, directed by Carol Reed and starring Orson Welles and Joseph Cotten. But before we do that, let's talk about what we've been watching. Dave, what have you been watching?
Well, we didn't get to see it on Valentine's Day when it opened because I had to work that night. But my wife and I eventually got to go see Heart Eyes.
Okay.
It's the slasher film about the serial killer who preys on couples who get together on the holiday. And, you know, with modern slasher movies, I have fairly low expectations because all I really care about is inventive deaths. And I'll give this movie credit because it's got some good ones, especially one at the end that really popped the crowd.
Nice.
It was like, oh man, that rules. Yeah. But I did take issue with the movie in some ways, though. Like, because for one thing, the most interesting relationship in the film is not the one at the center.
Okay.
But it's a different one that we find out about later. But the problem is, I don't think the movie knows that. It thinks that you're like really invested in the two leads, and I just wasn't. So that's my problem, but it's fine. And this isn't a spoiler, but Jordana Brewster and Devon Sawa are the cops in this movie.
Nice.
And that is so cool. That's
like a weird little like Easter egg, like wink nod type thing.
Yes, it is.
Like, hey, check out these people you might remember.
That's right.
So would you recommend Heart Eyes?
Yes, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I finally caught, I guess now it's the Oscar Best Picture winner, Anora.
Ah, yes.
I think it won Best Picture.
Yes, it did. It won Best Picture.
Yes, and man, it is a great movie. It jumps between being incredibly sweet and incredibly debaucherous and hilarious and heartbreaking, like all at the same time. And it goes through like, I wouldn't say all at the same time. It goes through those like emotions and feelings throughout the film, and it captures them perfectly. Like the romance, it's very atypical for everyone who doesn't know what the movie's about, but it's like a stripper gets hired to be this rich Russian son's girlfriend, and they get eloped, and the family deals with it, and all this crazy crap happens, and it's really a whirlwind that happens. And you feel this like romance that actually might be real happen, and there's a scene that just captures it so well. I hadn't seen it in any movie in a million years. So and then it goes into like almost slapstick humor for a while, which is really good stuff, and then it becomes like an utterly depressing, heartbreaking movie, and it's awesome. Yeah, you've got to see Anora.
So I agree with almost everything you said.
Okay.
I didn't care for the slapstick.
Okay.
I was, when the henchman can't handle her.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, hang on, guys. Like I know that she's tough, but you know, like when he's just complaining about the broken nose, and
that could, maybe a little too much complaining about the nose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It does go on very long.
Yeah.
So if it was cut down to maybe half the amount, maybe that'd have helped a little bit.
Maybe that could have been, yes. And I didn't need him throwing up in the truck either. That was gross.
Well, he had a concussion.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. He was badly hurt.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, it I would say watch it, everybody.
Yes, I would too. It's a great
awesome
film.
So, all right, let's move on to another great film, Dave. This is The Third Man. Why don't you give everyone a synopsis?
Yes, this is Carol Reed's look at post-World War II Europe, specifically Allied-Occupied Vienna. And this American pulp novelist arrives there with the promise of a job from an old friend, but he finds out that the novelist finds out that his friend has died, and when he figures out what happened, it sounds suspicious, so he has to investigate further. And this all takes place in this impossible situation where the writer has to deal with a lot of people he doesn't fully trust. And he also hates himself, which affects everything he does. There's a lot to process and discuss here because this movie is a classic, and I'm glad we're finally doing it.
Yeah, and you threw it on the schedule, so why don't you let us know why you put it there?
Yes. Well, this movie, almost as much as Citizen Kane, is consistently referenced by film critics as an all-time great. And when I first started getting into classic Hollywood, there were some films I watched once and decided, that's it. You know, I'm not going to watch it again.
Okay.
But then there were others that became favorites that I watched multiple times, and this was one of those. And I think this movie is more bravely cynical than most other films from this period. And I think I kept returning to it because it felt so modern. And
Yeah.
it's also a very literary film, and a lot of that is because it was written by a novelist. So there's, obviously, like I said, there's a lot going on and a lot to analyze. So can't wait to dig in.
Yeah, I didn't think much about how it felt very modern, but it really does.
Yeah.
You get a lot of credit for movies in the late 60s and 70s where it becomes modern feeling. Like you can watch a film from that time period and it still feels like something made in the last couple of years,
Yes,
in a sense.
the attitudes and everything about it, it just feels like it's today.
But yeah, this does have that. It's very cynical. Everything is. It's kind of depressing when you think about it. Like the schemes that were going down and the like turning your backs on people that is happening here. And the kind of, there's not really a happy ending for anyone in this film.
There's not.
I think that plus, just the film is gorgeous. It's extremely well structured and written, and the acting is top notch. It's just a wonderful film, and I'm glad you put it up there with Citizen Kane because it truly deserves to be there.
Right.
And critics have been saying that, but like. I've never seen this before, Dave.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to watch it and just haven't. And like, golly gee, it blew me away.
It's a swell film,
It's
isn't it?
quite swell,
Right.
Heaven to Betsy, this is a great movie.
Well, and you mentioned how good looking it is too. Obviously, the film is famous for Robert Krasker's cinematography, and it's not just the stark black and white stock that he uses, but also the extreme close-ups and the Dutch angles, and then the shadows, especially late in the film.
The tunnels is just infamously famous.
I know, and then with the balloon man and everything, wow, that's amazing work.
That balloon guy, dude.
Yeah,
he's awesome. Like you think for a second it's Harry Lime, and you're like, oh wait, it's just this old man.
Right.
Yeah.
Balloon mein Herr.
And then the cops have to buy one to get rid of him. It's pretty good. But yeah, this film is excellent. If you have any tiny little bit of interest in film noir, films from around 1950, black and white, Orson Welles, anything like that, you have to watch this movie.
Right.
It's a must.
It's an essential, and it plays on TCM quite often, so like you have ample opportunity to check it out.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can find it a million other places.
That's right.
All right, so you ready to get into this classic, Dave?
Let's do it.
Like you mentioned, it's in Vienna. It's post-World War II, and the city's pretty much in shambles.
Yes.
And it's been divided up between like 4 different controlling countries.
Right. The 4 quadrants were it was broken up by the Allies. There's a French sector, a Soviet, an English, and an American. And a black market has been established. And the authorities there know what's going on, but people are pretty clever about stuff. And they use every means they can to move merchandise. And watching all these armies try to, figure out what's happening is really fascinating.
Yes, because there's also like an international zone in the center.
Yes.
Where I think the movie opens with a voiceover explaining how unable to cooperate they are.
Right.
And how it is very easy to get away with stuff because there's no coordination.
And I love that voiceover because it's Carol Reed doing it.
Nice.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And, he originally didn't have it in there, and he added it later because I guess when the film was first released, it was like 11 minutes shorter, and it didn't have his voiceover. And when he added it back in, that was the first one I saw, which I think pretty much is the first one everybody from modern times has seen. And it just adds so much to it, and I would even ask for more of it because I really like the narration.
Yeah, I was surprised it's only really here at the beginning.
Yeah.
It doesn't come back at all, and I guess it gives you that little bit of information that you kind of need.
Yes.
Because if I thought about it, I'm like, what if they took that out? Like, you could still have a good time in the movie, and it won't affect too many things.
Yeah.
But just knowing that explains a lot more about, like, Harry Lime's motivations and things like that.
Right.
So it's great that it's there.
And I really have never minded table setting like that.
No,
get
me
up
neither.
front, whether it's a voiceover or just like an on-screen, crawl or whatever. Okay, let us know who's who, and then tell us a story.
Yeah, that's great. It's the, like, when it's the Blade Runner type stuff, where it's explaining literally what they just said to you.
That's right.
That's when it's like, oh, come on, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, the movie opens up like that, and Joseph Cotton gets off the train. He plays Holly Martins.
Yeah.
And he was Harry Lime's friend. He's the writer that you mentioned in the synopsis.
Right.
So he's here to see Harry Lime, who was played by Orson Welles, an old friend of his.
Yes, and when he is going through the city, it reminds me a lot of the opening of Cabaret. There's even like some, like when Michael York first gets off the train in Berlin. I think that like some of those shots are taken right from The Third Man. Even though it's different cities, it feels very much the same. It's this kind of guy who's like, who doesn't know what he's in for, and he is so enthusiastic, and he wants to start his new life, but he is about to find out that it's not what he thought it was.
Yeah.
And so when Holly Martins gets to Harry Lime's place, he goes upstairs, he knocks on the door, and he finds out that something has happened.
Yeah. He has died.
Right.
He got hit by a car outside of the apartment building. Is it a hotel or an apartment? It's an apartment, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be. Yeah, because he lives there,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I'm an idiot. Anyway, but yeah, a big tragedy just happened days before. And then he ends up going to the funeral. This all happens real quick. Like, we're moving along.
Right.
Like, we're not putzing about. He's at the funeral. Harry's getting put in the ground at this moment. So it, like, just happened recently. And while he's there, he's kind of the new stranger, an outsider. No one knows who he is, but there's some other people around. One gentleman kind of sees him and whispers to another guy, "Oh, that's him."
Yes.
And so, like, it sets up kind of this mystery, like, oh, they know who this guy is. Like, how do they know that? And there's also a woman there who seems very upset about all that's happened.
Yes. She's definitely not taking it well. I mean, nobody at a funeral would be, like boisterous or whatever, but I mean, she seems especially,
right,
emotional about things.
Right. So it sets us up to say, all right, so who is this woman and what did she mean to this dead man?
Right. And there's a shot that repeats itself, watching Anna walk away from the gravesite.
Yeah.
And, seeing someone in a car like turn back to like look at her. Mm-hmm. And in this first one, it's Holly gets in the car with Major Calloway.
Yeah, he was the guy who was like whispering, like, "Oh, that's him."
Right.
Yeah.
And Calloway is played by Trevor Howard, and he is a high-ranking British officer, and he offers Holly a ride back to the city, and he's also going to, I guess, I think he's trying to get some information out of Holly as well.
Yeah.
And he also, Holly has nowhere to turn even, right? Also, because, I mean, he was expecting a job, and, the guy who was going to give him the job is dead.
Yep. Yeah, so he has a couple of reasons to help him out in this way, right?
Right.
Like, he does want him to leave, but he's helping him out. After he talks to him, he's like, okay, they're going to get him like a ticket back to America.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Anna. That's the woman who was at the funeral, like walking away.
Right. And Anna is played by Alida Valli, an incredible actress who I need to look into a lot more. I found out her birth name was Alida Maria Laura Fryan Altenberger von Markenstein Frauenberg.
Nice.
Yes. She was born in Pola, which used to be part of the Kingdom of Italy, but is now in Croatia. And her nationality is Italian, but because her heritage is a mixture of Austrian, Italian, and Slovene, she speaks multiple languages. And she had this long career in both film and the stage. And like I said, I need to watch much more of her stuff because she's great.
Yeah, like this is the first time I've ever seen her.
Yeah.
So I wonder where she's been.
She's credited as Valli on the poster. It just says, like Orson Welles, Joseph Cotton, Valli. I guess she hated that credit, but the studios wanted to make her seem more exotic.
Yeah.
And so they just, gave her this one-word name.
Yeah, like she's Madonna now.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Volley. I kind of like it, but I don't know if I want to go around just being called Charboneau. I mean, unless you're a gym teacher, you shouldn't be calling me that.
That's right. Unless I'm asking you to hustle, I'm not going to call you Charboneau.
Yeah, what are you doing? Another lap. But yeah, so the movie has set up some very intriguing things for us.
Yes.
We want to know more. And so does Martins.
Right.
He kind of is not liking that he's being rushed out after his friend has died.
Yes, and he's especially put out by Calloway, and he immediately, he's getting more and more drunk, and he's being rude.
Yeah.
And, Calloway is somewhat friendly, but it's obvious that Holly hates cops. and he's
Yeah.
not having any of this, and he wants to do the investigation on his own, and he doesn't like that that Calloway doesn't seem to think much of Harry.
Right, yeah, because he reveals to him that Harry's been running some schemes with the black market. He's got this racket going. We don't know what it is yet, but apparently it's a big deal. And so Martins doesn't believe it, because Harry's a good guy.
Right.
He's not into that kind of stuff. And so they're adversarial from the get-go.
Yes, and Calloway, Trevor Howard, is about as posh an actor as there has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this great theater voice, and it's super annoying when he's an authority figure, because you're just like, if all you want is to relate to somebody, and he's kind of being this high-handed with you, it's like, dude, you better fucking knock it off.
Yeah, dude, it's not jiving well with this, American down on his luck author.
That's right.
Yeah, so at the hotel, he meets this gentleman named Crabben, which I think is a great name. It's like something you do at the beach, we're going crabbing.
Yeah.
So this guy introduces himself to him because the word is out that he's a famous author.
Yes.
And I guess some of the people here have read his books. Like, I don't know how prominent it is throughout all of Vienna, but it seems like Harry Lime has told people about him. And so some people have read his books.
Right, and this guy Crabben, he's another posh Englishman, and he hears that Holly Martins is there, and he knows the name, he knows he's an author, but he doesn't know that Holly he's not even Zane Grey.
Yeah.
He is like dime store Western stuff.
Yeah, this is like 10-cent paperback stuff.
Right.
Yeah. The Oklahoma Kid, I guess, is the big one they're talking about.
The Lone Rider of Santa Fe is the other one.
Yeah. And so he wants him to give a lecture at like the Cultural Center or something about literature.
Yes.
And so he convinces Martins to stay for another night or two so that he can do some lectures.
And he also offers to put him up at this hotel.
Oh, yeah. He's paying for it.
Right. So Holly was about to leave, but he's like, oh, well, okay, this guy's going to pay for my room and board, then I have some time to investigate now.
Exactly. And so, at this point, I don't know if he calls the guy or if the phone rings for Martins, but we meet Baron Kurtz.
Yeah.
He is an associate of Harry Lime, and he was there when he was killed.
Right.
Or when he died, I should say. Because there was a car accident, and this is all revealed in this scene when Baron Kurtz comes and talks to Holly Martins. He tells him, there was a car accident. The car came out and just hit Harry as he was walking across the street. And then me and another gentleman carried him, to the side, and that's where he died.
Yes. Kurtz claims that he and this guy, Popescu, were the ones who carried Harry away. And they're trying to restage everything. Holly's asking him questions. And Kurtz he's one of these characters in a movie like this that's immediately suspicious.
Oh, yeah. He looks guilty right away.
That's right.
And he behaves that way.
Oh, yeah. It's like Peter Lorre would play this role if it was made in America. And using the camera the way they do, makes him look even more guilty because they're constantly right in his face, and he's got this tiny dachshund with him.
Yeah, he's carrying this little dog around. Right. It's cute,
it's
man.
Really cute.
I want to pet the dog. Baron Kurtz is played by Ernst Deutsch.
Yeah.
Which is the actor. I'm not familiar with any of his other stuff, but man.
What a face.
A very unforgettable face, and the devious smile he has.
Yeah.
And he has almost got Bela Lugosi eyebrows. Yes. In a way. They're not as bushy, I guess, but they're very prominent.
And that hairdo. It's kind of alien. It goes it's an upside down triangle.
Yes. This guy's in the Illuminati or something, man.
Is, dude. He's really strange looking.
Yes, but we see him and immediately we think, okay, something's up here. He's hiding something.
Yeah.
But it's not just his visual that gives us those clues. It's the thing he says.
Right.
To Martins. He's telling him, yeah, when we carried him over, he told us that I had to come meet with you. We had to take care of you.
Yes.
And that contradicts what Martins was told by the police and by the caretaker in the building. He was told that he died instantly from this car accident.
Yeah, no one can give Holly the same story.
No. And that happens throughout the whole film. It just keeps going. Like,
Yes.
he's digging deeper and nothing's adding up. Which is what's so great about this. The mystery really develops.
I know.
And we know from right away that something's going on, and we don't ever really get an answer until, like, way later.
No, really, until way later, yeah. Like
There's a big twist.
Yes.
And that's when we find out everything.
Right.
And that twist is what this movie, I think, is most known for. I know there were twists in movies before this, but I am finding it hard to think of a big plot twist that was this consequential before this movie.
Well, and I think that I would say, I don't have any proof of this, but I would imagine that like studios didn't want that kind of stuff.
Probably not.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted, everything to be pretty clean and easily
go down
understood.
smooth. Yeah,
Yes.
Here we go.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's not trusting of Baron Kurtz here.
That's right.
Because of all this contradiction coming out of him. And there's one moment where like the caretaker at the building is like trying to give them information, but his wife like calls him away, like doesn't want him to get in trouble. So like everyone who's been around like knows something, but they're not saying something.
And I like that part of it too, is that like everybody in this movie is pretty much like against the cops.
Yeah.
And they're living in a police state and they're sick of it.
Yeah. And what I like about, I guess I don't like a police state, but the story, this aspect of the story is that because it is a police state and the black market exists, most of the people involved in that are probably just trying to get by day after this horrific war happened to them, right? But then there's people that are taking advantage of it, like Harry Lime's racket they've been talking about.
Right.
He's just doing it to get rich.
That's right. Yes, like Popescu and Kurtz are just as guilty too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whenever there's a situation like this, you're going to have racketeers, and just like any other capitalist system, it's the people on top.
Yep. So after this, Martins ends up going to a theater to see a show, and the woman from the funeral was there, Anna Schmidt, and played by Vali. And he comes back and starts talking to her. You're like, hey, I saw you at the funeral and stuff like that. They start talking about Harry and all this stuff. And it's revealed that the person driving the car that hit Harry Lime was Harry's personal driver.
Yeah.
Which is just so out of like, your own driver would not hit you. It's the chance of that happening is like very minuscule, right?
Yes.
So that's just strange, right? And Anna even says, like, sometimes I wonder, like, if this wasn't an accident, because she is suspicious of it.
And she was acting that way at the funeral too. I mean,
yeah, she seemed almost mad.
Yes, right. She was mourning, but like, you're right. She looked really angry,
Yeah.
and she's storming away from it, like, very deliberate walk. Like, I am sick of this, and probably because of all these details we've gone over and what you just said. She doesn't understand why the authorities aren't doing more to investigate this. I mean, this fishy story about how he was, hit by his own driver, and no one can make any action. Like, no one has any proof of what actually took place.
Yeah, like, so is it? I forget. Is it ever revealed why, like, Calloway and his men aren't thoroughly investigating it? Is it just because, like, hey, this guy was running this racket and he's gone now? Good.
I think so, because the weird thing about that, though, is that Calloway seems real interested in this, and Harry's dead.
Yeah.
So he still, for whatever reason, is like very on top of what that racket was, and he thinks there's more to this.
Yeah, and there's one thing that just seems kind of like overlooked in it is like, I'll spoil it now, but they buried a different body. It wasn't Harry's.
Yes.
Like, how'd they get away with that? Like, without Calloway knowing? I mean, I guess Calloway's not looking at every single body, but I think he would if he's this interested in Harry Lime. He would want to go see, and confirm that's him. That's
one of the inconsistencies of the film, too, is that because Harry was who he was, Calloway would be very interested to know who's in that casket.
Yeah.
And I know it would be ghoulish to walk over and go, now, just a moment, gentlemen.
I can see this a-hole barging in and
He
saying
would
that,
definitely
dude.
do that, yes. Right.
I mean, yeah, it is kind of a slight plot hole thing, but it's not that big of a deal.
It's not,
Like, it really
right.
doesn't hurt anything in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, so later at the hotel, I think, is Anna there with Martin's?
Yeah.
They're both at his hotel, or it's her hotel. I can't remember which one.
Yeah,
but
because she has this small, like, this really nice, like, flat that, like, overlooks the city, but it's
Yeah.
one room.
it's beautiful. I want to stay there.
I know.
You know, in this Vienna apartment.
I
Come
know.
on, man.
It looks amazing.
But it's revealed by the caretaker that he actually saw everything that happened, and it's contradicting what Kurtz had told him. You know, and he says he didn't talk to the police because he was scared,
Right.
and he doesn't want to get involved, and that insinuates that there's danger around this thing.
Yeah.
So this just makes Martins even more concerned, and it's revealed that he saw 3 men carrying the body in the street, not 2.
And Holly wants to know who the third man was.
Yes. He needs to know the third man.
Right.
He gets upset, and there's a moment in this scene where the phone actually rings, and Anna picks it up, and no one says anything.
Yeah.
Which I find really interesting, because nothing really comes from this, but it's just this really cool thing that happens that interrupts the action of the scene that even makes you wonder more about what the mystery is, because who would call
Right.
and not say anything, and the fact that it happened in this moment makes it even more interesting. Like, the caller probably doesn't know what's happening in the scene, but as an audience we're thinking, oh, this mysterious call interrupted us when we're talking about this very important thing we're trying to figure out.
Right. I have some theories about who it is.
Okay.
I think it's probably Popescu, and he was probably fishing.
Yeah.
And once he heard Anna's voice, he probably just stayed on the line and then heard the caretaker and Holly talking, and he was like, okay, I'm just going to put the phone down. He knows exactly what's up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I really had no good guesses. I thought for a second it was Harry Lime calling.
It
but
could have been,
been, but
right.
I mean,
Because either way, if you just, I guess, listen to the voices in the room, you can figure out, what's
Yeah.
being said, and it's like, okay, now I know the situation.
but I don't see why Harry would be the one calling the room. Yeah, Popescu makes a lot more sense.
Right.
But yeah, I just love how that call happens in the middle of the scene, and there's no really like thread to follow up on with it. It's just great.
That's right.
So we end up going to Anna's apartment now, and I guess Martin's wanted to walk her back home, and they get there, and the woman of the house is like screaming about something, and turns out that Calloway and his men are there, like going through her room, going through her stuff.
Right.
And they end up questioning her about these letters they have from Harry and her passport. And it turns out she has a forged passport.
Okay, and this is I will not keep talking about how much I hate cops, everybody. I won't, but I really hate them in this movie, and because they are so out of line, like rifling this lady's stuff, going through her personal effects, stealing love letters, from Harry, and yeah, I mean, like the first thing they do, also they ask her for her papers, and when she presents her passport, because you have to have a passport to so that people know you're an Austrian citizen.
Yeah.
And they immediately know it's a fake.
Yeah, it's a good one.
They say it's a
but
good
it's
one.
fake.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's this other guy who is Major Calloway's assistant.
I can't remember that character's name.
His name's Payne, I think.
Okay.
And he is Sergeant Payne. Yeah, Bernard Lee is Sergeant Payne. And he's a very unassuming guy. And he's kind of a nicer guy.
Yeah.
But he's the one who spots the forgery right away. And he's also a fan of Holly Martin's, as it turns out.
Yeah,
and
big
Holly's
fan.
kind of a dick to him, too.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
like,
just-
he's your big fan.
Right.
He legitimately loves your work.
Yes.
And he's going, I think he was the guy who told Crabin about him. Like, hey, that guy's amazing.
That's
you know?
right.
Like-
Yes. Yeah. And Holly acknowledges him sometimes, but most of the time he's just like looking at Calloway and kind of disregarding everything.
Yeah, yeah. But he's good. I liked his character
Me
a
too.
lot. And yeah, they've caught her, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know why they're going after her. I guess are they trying to find like the co-conspirators that were Harry's
I mean, yeah,
people or
because
something?
the only way to get to the other conspirators is through the people who knew them best. And I mean, if Anna is still there and she was with Harry, then she must know something.
Yeah.
And that's the other sinister part of it, though, is that, like, sometimes they have to know that maybe Anna didn't know anything.
Right.
But she's there, and that's why it's so unfair. Because, I mean, she didn't do anything, and they're turning her life upside down.
Yep. And now they've proven that she's not really supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And they keep talking more about how bad Harry was, and she didn't know, it turns out.
Right.
And she says the only crime he did was get me that passport.
And because of this passport thing, once it's been revealed that it's fake, the Soviets can claim her because she was Czech-born.
Yeah.
And, she's going to be taken away from Vienna if they go through with this.
And she doesn't want that.
Right.
She wanted to stay here. She wanted to stay with Harry. She didn't want to get deported to where she didn't want to go.
Right.
So the cops are a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, man. So I think they actually take her down to the station at this point,
yes.
and keep her passport and all this stuff. And I don't know if it's this scene, but the Russian officials show up at some point, and
right.
There's this big thing going on.
Yeah, the Soviets are immediately they want to process her
Yep.
now.
So Martins ends up going down to Dr. Winkle's place, or Winkle, sorry. That's what they say in the movie.
Yes, that's right.
Because this American guy can't say a German name right. And but apparently he was he there also? Like
so Dr. Winkle's
Will,
part, he is. I have a theory about him too.
Okay, all right.
I think he is Baron Kurtz's lover.
It seems that way.
Yes. Later in the film, when Holly is yelling at Kurtz from the street and he comes out on his balcony with his dachshund, you see Dr. Winkle come up behind him and put his hand on his shoulder.
Yep.
And then they turn around and arm in arm go back inside. I think that's the key. That's the relationship.
I thought that exactly too.
Okay.
But I wasn't sure his role in this plot.
When you did the medical examination.
Yeah, the medical examination after the death.
Right.
So when Martins walks in, it's great because we see that little Dotson walking around in the apartment. And you're like, oh, that's what Kurtz had that dog. So there's some connection happening here for sure.
That's right.
But he tells Martins he can't give an opinion on whether he was pushed into the street or not. Because, I guess he can't. All he can tell is what kind of head trauma he had and stuff like that.
But when you consider that he's the one who was identified as the doctor who oversaw the medical examination, he obviously can see that this is not Harry Lime.
Yes.
And so, he knows way more than he's letting on.
He definitely does.
Right.
And in this moment, we don't know that, right?
True.
But we know he's hiding something.
Yes.
Because the way this guy is acting, we're like, you could chalk it up to just cultural differences. This is just how he's speaking to him in English, right?
Right.
And maybe this is how he speaks in English. Maybe he's not hiding anything. He just can't communicate as well as you want him to.
Right. And that's a good point about the English, because throughout this movie, there is German spoken without any subtitles.
Yeah.
And I like that part of it because if you can't speak German, you're going to feel out of place.
Yeah. And he is really a fish out of water.
Yes.
He doesn't belong here at all. He had nothing here. Harry was going to get him set up, and Harry's gone.
Yes.
And he's just floating around right now.
And he's also coming from America, and even though the U.S. was involved in World War II, the war didn't happen on our shores.
Right.
And our country wasn't devastated by it.
No, nothing like this.
Right.
You get to see a lot of the devastation in this film. There's a lot of chasing through the city and stuff.
Yes.
Through the rubble, and it's the real rubble. I don't know if they shot it on location.
They did. They shot a lot of location stuff in Vienna, and then most of the interiors were in Shepperton Studios.
Okay. I guess it's a good use of what was there.
Yeah.
They're it's here, let's film it.
Yes.
And
let's tell this story, because the Allies stayed there until 1955.
It was a real thing that was happening.
Yes.
And they're commentating on it.
Right.
So but yeah, he doesn't get straight answers from Dr. Winkle here either, getting more of a runaround.
Right.
No one's telling him anything. So he ends up going to this place called the Casanova Club. which he was told about by Kurtz, I guess.
Yeah.
Kurtz is there playing his violin, like, for people. I guess maybe that's his side job. I don't know what he does. Like, He seems very rich.
Yeah, he is. He's living in a nice place.
Yeah. So he goes here and he sees Kurtz is playing that. And is Anna here with him?
Yeah, well, Anna is at the bar with Holly, and they're I can't remember if they meet there or if they walk in together, but at this point, Kurtz walks up to them and he says hello, and then this is where we meet Popescu as well.
Yeah, he, I guess, was out of town and he's finally back. Because I think Kurtz says something to Holly about it, and he's like, well, I thought he wasn't here. And he's like, well, he just got back.
Yes, right.
So, and I don't know if that was a lie or if it was true, but it's great because it just makes more confusion.
And I mean, like, whether it's a lie or true, I mean, like, even if someone is telling you the God's truth, you don't know.
Yeah.
In this situation, you can't trust anything anybody says.
No, because everything he's heard so far contradicts it.
I know.
So
almost everything's a lie.
Yeah. So this guy Popescu comes up and starts talking to him, and he seems like a very friendly guy. You know, he's much more welcoming than the other people we've met so far.
Right, and he's less bizarre appearance. You know, he doesn't seem quite so much like a villain in a movie. He's kind of just this well-dressed, like broad-shouldered guy who looks like an everyman. But the way he's behaving, he's obviously like in charge of this place, and people are deferring to him. Siegfried Breuer is the actor who plays him, and he's just this big, like almost like Alex Karras type.
Yeah,
and another great face.
Yeah, and so he's telling Holly everything that happened. Like, he was there, and he was waving to him across the street, and then Harry crossed the street without looking and then got hit. So he feels like it's his fault that Harry got hit by the car.
Right.
Because if he wasn't there, like, telling him to come on over, it wouldn't have happened. And he's very down on himself.
Yeah, and he's
taking the blame.
Convincing, too. I mean, he really seems like he's mourning the loss, and he's really sad about this.
Yep. And he asks him more questions, like, well, I need to know who was the third man there.
Yeah.
And he just denies it again. Like, no, there was no one else there. That was it. What about the driver, actually, now that I think about that?
The driver is the fourth man, really.
Harry's the fifth man. Yes. He's dead. There's a lot of men in this movie that we're not accounting for.
That's true. We need to figure out these men.
Yes, we do. So, I mean, it's just more of the runaround again. And, I mean, I think at one point Popescu tells him, like, everyone should be careful in a city like this.
Yes.
Something like that. And it's not very, like, threatening, but it's kind of a threat, I think. It's an underhanded threat.
It is. And, I mean, I think at this point we should talk about Anton Karas's zither score is a constant accompaniment.
Yes.
And sometimes it punctuates a scene unexpectedly. I mean, even though there's like one tune that plays very often, there's variations. And after I saw the movie a few times, I started to really like enjoy how a scene would end on someone saying something cryptic, and then the zither would come in, and this harsh note would come in, like as the screen slowly devolves.
Yeah,
like Kurtz or Popescu says something. Oh, you really must be careful, Mr. Martins. Yeah. And it's like, oh, it's almost an alarm sound, like hey, better listen to what this guy says.
Yeah, that score is also the other thing this movie is most known for.
It is,
because films didn't have a score like that. And they still don't.
No, they still don't. Yeah, I haven't heard a zither in any other film that I can name.
This is the only one ever. Quote me on it. So, yeah, the score is excellent. And it really suits... I think it suits the film well.
I do, too.
It suits the environment. And then when it's very lighthearted almost most of the time. But maybe not most of the time, but a good amount of time. And then other times it creates a lot of tension in the scenes. Well,
I mean, the most frequently used tune is that na 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 na, and then it gets a little higher, and then there are those moments where, like what I just tried to do, with the big plucking, and then whenever they want you to like fixate on something and be really serious, they do kind of like a and it's I can't really... It's like no other score I've ever heard.
I agree. It's completely unique.
Yeah.
Because there's not even other instruments, really. accompanying this.
The only time we hear like other instruments in the movie is where Kurtz is playing violin at this night, and then later in the movie when Holly is getting drunk at that club and you see the topless woman, there's this. I don't like this one part because I hate this piece of music because it stays with me, and I don't. I don't
remember it.
Oh, okay. Well, like.
Is it like?
It's not.
Okay.
It's not a club din.
Okay.
But it's like it goes.
Okay.
It's out of place.
Yeah.
And when it's accompanying a woman doing a sexy dance, the dance isn't sexy anymore.
I guess it's supposed to be some rocking and rolling
I
song
guess so,
or something.
Yeah, right. It's supposed to be like, in some way make it feel like the nightlife.
Yeah, I guess it's what like the Viennese think of as like
Yes.
awesome good time America.
Pretty much.
Something
yes,
like that.
They were used to Schubert. They don't know what anything.
Exactly. After this scene, we get like some quick shots of like the men, like all these mysterious men, like meeting on the bridge and like conspiring and doing something.
Yeah.
Like, and we ultimately end up back where the caretaker at the hotel is, or at Harry's place.
Yes.
And he's like looking out the window and stuff, and it's a really good shot of the camera coming up behind him and getting real close, and he turns around and is just like, ah! Like something's gonna happen.
Right. He's staring behind him because he turns around and sees. We don't see what he sees, but the camera slowly dissolves, and when we go to the next scene, Holly and Anna are coming up the street, and there's a commotion outside the building.
Yep. Because they were at her place,
Yeah.
right? And she's getting deported, basically. And Martin is there, and they're being very flirty in that scene, actually.
Oh, Holly and Anna?
Yeah, Holly and Anna.
Yeah.
I don't know who I said, sorry.
You said Martin.
Oh, Martins is
Yes,
his last name.
Martins is his last name, yes.
So I did a last name, first name thing. Sorry
Yes.
about that. But yeah, Holly and Anna are there. And they're talking about, like, how they knew Harry and, like, reminiscing about him kind of, and then they both get flirtatious, which we kind of saw coming, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
of
it's a film noir, and they end up going for drinks, but then that's when they come across the commotion at the hotel where Holly is staying, and he tells her to stay there, like, because she wants to leave, like, let's not get involved in any more trouble, right? And he's like, no, we need to find out what's going on because he's got to solve this mystery,
Right.
So he goes up there, and everyone is speaking German or any other language except English.
Yes.
And he doesn't know what's happening. And everyone's kind of looking at him all weird. And there's this little boy that's carrying that, like, bouncing ball.
Yeah.
And he keeps yelling something, like the same thing. And it's cute, but it's ominous.
It is quite ominous, yes. He's doing it in a way that makes it sound like there's some kind of trouble. And he really wants, his dad to, see what's going on. And he's looking at Holly this whole time. And Holly starts to notice it. And the other people start to notice Holly. And if he wasn't standing out before because he can't speak the language, he's really standing out now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially like this kid, this 3-year-old, is fingering him as the murderer.
Yeah.
Because the authorities come down the stairs and they've got a gurney with the caretaker on there. And, okay, this guy, he's not one of us. Where'd he come from? And he's just standing here. He definitely killed him.
Yep.
And when I listened to the commentary track for Dark City, Roger Ebert does a commentary on that DVD.
Okay.
He compared when Richard O'Brien and the other strangers, there's one guy who's very small.
Uh-huh.
It's like a 5-year-old kid, and they don't make any mention of it. He's just one of the strangers.
Yeah.
And Roger Ebert compared this kid to that kid.
That's awesome.
It's so cool,
dude,
right?
That's so good. Yeah, and in this scene with all the commotion, it could be good, it could be bad, who knows?
Right.
And he realizes what's happened because Anna comes up and tells him, like, they think you killed him. Let's go.
I'm out of place. They think I did this. I better get out of here. Holly just stands there, and it takes him way too long to figure this out.
Yeah, yeah. So they do flee, but then that kid kind of chases them and, like, is pointing at him, and everyone's like, let's get him.
Right.
So the whole crowd just starts chasing after them. But fortunately, they're able to, like, duck into this theater, like the movie theater that's there, and they
Right.
hide out for a minute. And
Yes.
they shook the chasers. I mean, they got away.
Right. And they do a good move where they ducked into the theater together, and then Anna leaves through another exit. So they're not.
Yeah, they split up.
Yes, it's the good time to split up.
Yeah, because they're going to be looking for two people.
Yes.
Right? Let's go one this way, one that way. So Martin ends up, I keep calling him Martin because that's his last name.
Martins.
Martins, yes. Holly goes back to his hotel and is kind of frantic. He needs to get on the phone with the police. He needs to do something. And it turns out there's a car already there waiting for him. And so he gets into this car and it starts speeding off. And he can't understand what the driver's saying. He doesn't know what's happening. It feels like this is part of the grand conspiracy that's going on.
Right.
They have got him in the car and they're taking him somewhere.
And when he first got back to his hotel and the guy at the front desk is like, oh, yes, there's a car waiting for you right outside. He had seen the car and he'd even inspected it before he walked in the door. Mm-hmm. And look, if I was in Vienna in 1949 and my friend had been killed and I'm investigating, I'm certainly not getting in a car.
No.
No. That's not going to happen.
Especially when you have no idea what it is, who it is.
I know.
Because it's not like even, like Kurtz isn't even there. It's like nobody he knows is here.
He doesn't recognize the driver at all. And when the driver starts tear-assing through the city, and you start to get a sense of like, okay, well, maybe he's doing this to convince Holly that this really is how Harry died, because this is how people drive. And when you're doing this at night, and like, it's a great way they did this, because I don't even know if maybe they sped up the film or whatever.
I don't think they did. It didn't look like sped up to me.
I didn't think so either, but I can never tell with older movies sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's driving very fast and recklessly through the city, and there's cobblestone.
He's dodging people too.
Yeah,
maybe that is part of this thing. They wanted to try to convince him, like, hey, this driver almost hit 3 people doing this.
Yes.
So it's very easy to get hit by a car in this city.
That's right.
But the car ends up pulling up to a building after all of his yelling to stop and like let him out and stuff. They finally get to this building and they open the door, and it is the lecture he was supposed to go to for Mr. Crabbin.
Yes, Crabbin.
The one he completely forgot about.
He didn't thought about it in 2 days, and then Mr. Martins, this way. And then there's like this applause from this literary society. They're gonna get a talk from the great Holly Martins.
Yeah, the great American author. Yep. So yeah, he goes up there and sits in the chair, starts like fielding questions after some time, and like his mind is somewhere else. Like he is not being a very good guest here. People are wanting answers to some easy questions, really, and he can't think of answers that are that great.
That also bothered me the first time I saw the film, because I was not because of the movie, but because I was mad at Holly. Holly has written books. I know he writes trashy books, but he has to know what stream of consciousness is.
Yes.
He has to know who James Joyce is. And he doesn't know any of this.
I'm putting it on the fact that he is. I don't want to talk about James Joyce when I'm in a murder conspiracy.
Of course, yes. Yeah, he's got a lot on his mind.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't be this clueless, and he should be
able to play it off a little bit.
That's right, because I mean, like, Crabbin's putting him up at this hotel. Like, just play along, and in this moment, just get through this lecture. It's going to be another 2 hours or whatever, and like all these people with their questions, just make it work.
Yeah. And before we move on first, I want to talk about the car thing again, like real quick. It is very intense. Like we kind of talked about them flying through the streets, and he's like yelling at the driver, but it is very tense. The whole scene is very well done, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to be okay. And in a lot of movies, you can say, okay, he's the main character, he'll be fine. Like I really felt like something bad could happen here really quick.
Right. Because I mean, they could have like killed Holly, and now it's Anna's movie.
Yeah.
And like, I love how Holly is flopping around in the back seat too.
Yeah,
as the guy like makes these hairpin turns.
Yeah,
and he's yelling, "Hey, come on, knock it off!"
Yeah, and there's bars on between the front and back seat. So I'm thinking, all right, this is something evil's about to happen here.
And that's another moment where Holly, if you get in the back seat and there's bars there, get out of that car.
Yeah, that door might not open if you close it.
Yes.
So, dude. But yeah, he ends up at this conference, and then Popescu is actually here.
Mm-hmm.
He walks in with a couple guys, and he's standing in the back, and he starts asking questions to Holly. And Holly starts, fielding them back to him, and it's almost as if it's like a tete-a-tete here. They're like lobbing these things back to each other, like accusing each other of things, which is great because it's like revealed here, like Popescu, probably did something to Harry.
Right.
It comes out almost without him saying it.
And he's hinting around at it, and he's never saying that he did anything. But when he walks into the back of the room and like he starts kind of doing this slow clap for Holly because, I'm just another one. I'm just another person here. I'm another book lover, and I'm here to hear this guy talk. And then he just addresses him, and he starts asking questions that are all about, the case, but he's not using that language.
Yeah.
And it's a face-off.
Yeah. And Holly says he's working on a new book right now. It's called The Third Man. Mm-hmm. And that's what he had asked Popescu about at the bar. So he immediately knows that Holly's talking about the case, and he reveals it's based on a fact. It's not a fiction book. It's my first one. And so Popescu's just like, well, I think you're mixing up your facts with fiction. Maybe you should just stick to fiction. And Holly replies, I think he says, well, I'm a little too far along now. And Popescu says, well, haven't you scrapped a book? Never. Popescu replies, pity, because it's on now. He's not going to quit. I'm going to have to take care of this. It's great. It's a great scene.
Pity. Yeah. That is great.
Because now I have to kill you.
I think Robert Rodriguez really liked The Third Man.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment when Popescu walks in, it reminded me a lot of when Moko walked in the opening scene of Desperado.
Uh-huh. I was about to say.
Oh, you did? Okay. You
I was about to say Desperado, man.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Excellent. It looks and is framed exactly like it.
That's great, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it till you mentioned his name right here, but dude, immediately lights up in my head, dude.
Right.
But man, it's a great scene, and they end up chasing him out of the building.
Yes.
And so they run through like the city, and this is where we mentioned like you get to see like all the disheveled buildings and the piles of just bricks in the street, and so Holly is running through the buildings. He ends up hiding in like one room somewhere in the lecture hall before fleeing through the city.
Yes.
But like he gets bit by a cockatoo. And it makes a bunch of noise. And so he's found out, which is great. And he keeps telling everyone he got bit by a parrot. And I guess, is a cockatoo a parrot? I don't know. I don't think so.
I wish I knew more about birds.
Yeah. But still, close enough, I guess.
Yeah.
But so they chase him through the street, and, he literally goes down this pile of rubble to a burnt-out car and hides inside the car. And this looks like a real car that was really left there. Dude, they end up running past him. He lost them, but he, just sitting in this bombed-out car, it's just a great image.
I know, because you really get a sense of the desperation, not just from this chase, but like knowing his situation, where he is. He's so far from home, and he's in this place where people don't want him there.
Yeah. And you think about the desperation of the people of the city, too.
Yeah, of course.
Like, this is their day-to-day.
And in addition to what happened, during the war, what happened to Austria when Hitler came to power in Germany, they stole Austria.
Yeah.
They've been living under this now for going on, 15 years.
Yep.
And there's still going to be more of it. I mean, it's not as like the Allied occupation isn't as bad as the Nazis, but I mean, they're still like their place, their home is not their own.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks. It's sad. And when you see the city like this and realizing it's actually really what happened, it just makes it even worse.
Right.
But he got away. And I think now is a good time for us to take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up.
Yes.
It's finally here, Dave. The Dudes on Movies merch store is live.
Holy God, everybody. We now have apparel and other swag with our names and logo on it.
That's right, dudes. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, mugs, stickers, and that's about it for the moment, but still, it's a lot of what you want.
Yes, and what better way to tell the world about your favorite podcast than to walk around town repping our names? For the shirts, the store even allows you to pick your colors so you can make it in your own style.
Well, how about that? So if you guys want to support us, please head over to dudesonmovies.com/merch. We'd really appreciate it. All right, Dave, we're back from our break. It's time to figure out what happens in the rest of the movie.
Yes.
Let's solve this mystery, shall we? So Holly Martins. I got to stop saying Martins. Holly got away from Popescu and his men. And so what he does, he runs over to Calloway and tells him what's going on.
Right.
And Calloway then tells Holly exactly what he's so concerned about.
Yes.
The racket that Harry Lime had going on was stealing penicillin and diluting the supply and selling it to make money for himself.
Right.
And the thing about that is the people who need penicillin aren't getting it, and they're dying. Kids, women, everybody.
Right.
They're all dying because they're getting bad penicillin.
He has injured or killed countless people.
Tons of them.
Right.
And later we get a shot of the hospital and see just all these kids laying there.
Right.
Oh, dude.
Because it's a ward where infants are dying of meningitis.
Yeah.
Because of Harry Lime.
Yep. And so this is what he's telling them. And he ends up showing a slideshow of some stuff. And there's a gentleman who was an orderly at the hospital who was apparently like the inside man there helping him out. And his name was Ruben, I believe.
Yes.
And he was working for Harry, and he ended up disappearing a few weeks ago, and they don't know what happened to him. So they're investigating that case now, too. And it's all connected somehow. And Holly can't really believe that this is his friend, Harry Lime, who's behind all this.
Right. And even though, like, Calloway makes a compelling case, and Holly does believe him, he is just kind of gutted by the news, and he wants to get out of here because he can't bear to think about, like, what Harry did.
Yeah, because that's not the man he knew.
Right.
Apparently, he was a great guy, life of the party type of guy, and you always wanted to be around him, but he never did things like this.
Right.
So Holly ends up going over to Anna's place now. He brings some flowers to her, and I guess she hasn't left yet. I guess she's still here, right?
I mean, yeah, because the whole thing with her passport violation, like, Calloway is keeping it. He hasn't given her over to the Soviets
that's
yet.
right. Yeah.
And at one point, like, the Soviet, his counterpart walks in and says something about, and he goes, Calloway's like, do we really want to pursue that? Is that really necessary?
Yeah. I remember now.
And that's another, like, fuck the cops thing for me, because, like, so that's in your power at all times. You can just not convict people of small offenses.
Yeah, I just don't feel like dealing with this crime today.
Yeah. How about you just do that for everybody then, you motherfucker?
Yeah, I don't feel like doing this one. Sorry, guys.
God damn it.
Not in the mood.
Ugh.
And he doesn't have to do shit. He just gives it to the Russians. The Soviets will take care of it.
Yeah.
So I guess he's keeping it so that she's still in town to further his investigation.
Yeah,
that's
because
the main reason.
Right, exactly. As long as Anna's around, he has another link to it, and he's keeping her passport there just so, I mean, because she can't travel without it anyway. So.
Right, yeah. So she's there for when he needs her.
Right.
And so Holly has all this information. He goes over to Anna's place, and he brings some flowers over to her. And he's a little drunk. He's making his move, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
And so he goes over there with them. There's a cat on the bed, which is super cute, and starts playing with, like, the little string on the flowers. Or he tries to get it to play with the string, and it doesn't. It's, like, uninterested in him, and it ends up leaving.
Right. And the cat only likes Harry, Anna says.
Yeah, the cat is like, I'm out of here, and it just goes out the window. I'm like, man, it must be great to be a cat, you know?
Yes.
Dude, cat life, it has to rule.
Cats, they can take or leave humans, and they're so agile.
There was a video game that came out last year called Little Kitty Big City.
Okay.
And I played it, and it was great. Well, it was good. It was not great, but just play as a cat exploring the city, getting into cat hijinks and
Oh, that's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Right.
Not an amazing game, but, you know, if you like cats, play it.
The other thing I like about cats too is that whenever you see a stray cat, I mean, like I feel bad, but like I know that the cat can take care of themselves.
Oh, yeah, I'm not worried about that cat.
Right.
You know, stray dog, I'm like, okay, maybe.
I know.
I mean, they can take care of themselves, but I think it's a lot harder for a dog.
Right. And dogs really love humans, and cats sometimes love humans.
They could care less half the time.
Pretty much, yeah.
But anyway, this cat bounces. He's like, I'm out of here.
That's right.
And so Anna's sad because she also heard like the explanation of what Harry's been involved in. I guess she's been in denial or just didn't know about it until this point also.
Yes.
And so they're both kind of sympathizing with that, and they're both reminiscing about Harry and how he turned out not to be the guy they knew and stuff, and so they're connecting on all this. And at one point, Anna's on the bed, and she's very sad, and he's sad too, but he's standing up by the window, and then he kind of walks over to like the footer on the bed and like leans in real close to her, and it's like he's trying to kind of make the romantic move here, and he says something romantic to her, and she doesn't really respond, and she ends up just having a tear come out of her eye because she's thinking about Harry. And Holly, to his credit, realizes, yeah, maybe this isn't the time for this, and he doesn't like pursue the romance.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really admired Holly for that he understood in the moment. Yeah, okay, this is not working.
Yeah, I was so happy too, because most movies like this, she gets all emotional and then they kiss.
Yes,
you know.
of course.
No, he's fucking dead and wasn't the man I loved, and you're trying to bang me.
I know.
No,
and
I'm
it was
not,
3 days ago.
Yeah, seriously.
Right.
No, and it plays out how it should.
Yeah, that's right. She's still sad.
Yes.
Back off, Holly. Good
Put
job.
it away.
Right. Put it away.
Thanks for the flowers. Put it away. And when he's leaned in like this, the camera pushes out of the apartment, like past him, through the little garden box on the window, like through the plants and stuff. It's really cool. And then out looking over like the big promenade that's out there, and we see a man walking like around the corner in shadows, and he's like looking up at the window, and he's walking casually. And then when he looks in the window, he sees what's happening, and he kind of ducks into the shadows of this entranceway, and he's hiding there.
Right.
And it's really cool to see that. Like, the camera shot is awesome. It pushes through the little plants, and then it's like the real city, and it's really huge, and he just ducks and hides once he sees the window. So it's like, all right, who's this guy?
Yes.
Who's going to walk over to Anna's apartment and then hide when he sees another man there?
And when the cat jumped out the window and went down into the street, he goes into that same recessed doorway, and he stops, and he goes, he's like, meow, and you see him at the shoes of this man. And then Holly comes out of the apartment. Him and Anna have parted ways, and he's walking down the street, and he hears something, and he realizes he thinks he's being followed, or that someone is hiding, and he knows someone is in that entrance.
Yeah, he's like across the other side of the street.
Right.
And he starts yelling like, hey, you're a pretty horrible spy if you're supposed to be following me.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Come on out.
Yeah, and he's making a ruckus, right? Because he's kind of drunk. He just left, he's trying to make a move on this woman, and it didn't work out, and now he's leaving, and he's yelling at this guy, and so some lady up in the other building there is like, opens the window, starts yelling at him, and turns the light on, and the light like turns on into this dark alleyway, and it reveals Orson Welles is standing there. Harry Lime. He's standing there with his trench coat and his like cocked hat, dude, and that smirk on his face. It's a great reveal.
It's a great reveal. It's a great shot, and it's like kind of what Orson Welles would live for.
Yeah, yeah.
He wants to make this entrance every day of his life.
Yes.
Because we all do, obviously.
It's a great entrance.
Yes.
And this is what I was talking about earlier when I said it's known for having one of the biggest twists out there.
Right.
And this is the twist. Like, oh, Harry's not dead.
Yes.
he's here, and he seems very happy that he was discovered.
He's like, he just smirks at Holly and doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
And like the zither score comes in.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
Yeah, like he that little grin he gives him. It's so it's hard to describe because it's it reveals a lot about the character. He's almost playful. You know, he's almost happy that this was found out because now it's like this little game or something.
Right.
He likes it.
and I wonder if he knows that Holly knows about what he's been up to.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Because, I mean, you know, like, if he does know and he's giving Holly this look, it's pretty malevolent.
I would assume he knows because it turns out, you know, he has been communicating with the doctor and Kurtz and stuff. So,
yeah.
like, I'm sure they've told him, hey, you know, Holly's been, like, snooping around and Calloway's been on his case and stuff. So I'm sure he knows what's going on here.
And that's another scary part of it is obviously, like, you know, Holly thought Harry was dead the whole time, so he's never going to think that Harry's pursuing him or spying on him.
Yeah.
And so it's the perfect way to blend in. If people think you're dead, you can just, you know, move freely. And, you know, a car drives by and, you know, Harry is able to disappear. When Holly starts the pursuit, he's like running through the streets. He can't see, like, where did he duck into? And he finally finds this this large booth, like a subway entrance almost.
Yeah.
And you open up this door, and it leads down into the sewer system.
Yeah. Before he goes down there, like, he goes to Calloway and, like, tells him, like, hey, I saw Harry right here.
Yes.
He disappeared.
Right.
And they don't believe him.
They don't. And, like, I guess really the whole thing with the sewer system is that they don't discover that until Calloway and Payne come over.
Yeah. I think Calloway's the one who opens it, maybe.
Right.
It's like, oh, shit.
Yes.
Now we believe you.
And he realizes in that moment that they're never going to catch him because, like, he was able, like, Calloway knows that this, like, leads to, he got to the Soviet sector.
Yeah.
And once that happens, I mean, like, he's kind of like, it's almost like he's in another country.
Yeah. They have no authority to go over there and get
Yes.
him or anything like that. And so, yeah. The sewers in this movie, though, are gorgeous.
Yes, they
They're
are.
the most beautiful sewers I've ever seen, dude.
Yeah, this is not Ninja Turtle sewers.
Yeah. So, there's just these giant structures made out of stone, and the water's flowing, and, like, all the little waterways are all connecting together. It's really something.
Yes.
And to think about, like, this very, very old city has this underneath.
Right.
And how they built this and made this happen and engineered it. It's amazing to think about.
I know. Anytime I see this kind of stuff, I'm just like, I marvel at it, and yeah, I'm kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah, like, we can barely build a sewer nowadays. We cut to immediately Harry Lime's grave being exhumed, and they open it up, and inside is Harbin, the orderly who was helping Harry.
Right.
I guess he was the guy, maybe he was the guy hit by the car, and Harry Lime was the third man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming happened. And so they buried the wrong guy.
Right.
And now it is proven Harry Lime is not dead, or at least not buried there. But it's safe to say he's alive.
Only Holly saw him still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy faked his own death. And the next day, Holly goes over to Kurtz, and he's yelling from the street, you know, saying, I want to talk to Harry right now.
Yeah.
Tell him to meet me over there. He wants to meet him in a place where, like, you know, there's people around, and, like, you know, people will see, you know.
Yeah.
And so they go over to, it's called the Wiener Riesenrad. It's a famous Ferris wheel in Vienna. Jesse and Celine rode this same thing. And I remember when we did our Before Sunrise episode, all I could think about was this scene.
Yes. Like, yeah, I think you said something about, like, if Jesse was threatening to push her out the window or something.
Talking like this evil shit.
Yeah. 20,000 per dot.
Free of income tax, old man.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's right, because this is where Kurtz and Dr. Winkle were, like, up there with the dachshund and stuff. And
right.
it's great because they're like, well, why don't you come up here and wait for Harry? He's like, I'm not going up there.
Hell no.
I'm not going anywhere. I don't trust you at all. Meet me by the Ferris wheel.
Yes.
Good call. Good call.
It's pretty smart.
Like, he doesn't make dumb decisions most of the time. He got in that car, but
Yes.
but he learned his lesson, I guess.
And from here on, he knows that Harry is not on the level, so he's
Yeah.
going to be more suspicious.
Yeah, so they meet by the Ferris wheel, and they end up going on the ride there, and it's just the two of them in the big car
Right.
that's going up around, and they get kind of threatening with each other for a while.
Yes, and at first, like, he's being friendly in that most unfriendly Orson Welles manner, where he's a real smartass, but he's also so well-spoken and obviously well-read. I can imagine that this back and forth has been happening for like the last 30 years between Harry and Holly. Holly, I don't think he'd had enough of it because probably when he knew Harry and Harry was a decent guy, this stuff would have probably been like, I really admire this guy. I want to be more like him.
Yeah.
Man, this guy knows everything. But to know that he did what he did, and he's being this callous about it, because when they look down they're at the top of the Ferris wheel, and he says, listen, Holly, would you really feel all that guilty if one of those dots down there stopped moving forever? And if I was to tell you that you could get 20,000 pounds for every one of the dots that stopped?
It's pretty menacing.
Yeah.
And he has opened the door to the car.
Yes.
And he's kind of threatening, like, it would be very easy to push you out of here.
Yes. And the first time I saw it, I thought, okay, well, Harry probably wouldn't push Holly out because the guy who keeps the wheel would have seen them go up there. But Harry has powerful friends. And if he's being protected in the Soviet sector, and he has people in the British sector, then, I mean, maybe he would get away with this murder.
Yeah. I don't think he would do it because it would probably be just a little too complicated to get away from this.
Holly is a little too prominent in this case, yeah.
Yes, and with all those dots down there witnessing this,
That's true.
It probably would be very difficult to get away with this. And
Probably, yeah.
But the fact that the door is open scares the shit out of me, first off. I'm going to accidentally fall out there.
I know, because I remember you telling me you were afraid of heights, yeah.
Yes, like anytime there's like a chance I could fall off something, just my brain is like, something's going to happen and I will fall out. I'll slip on a banana peel or something in this car and I'll stumble that way and fall out.
Uh-huh.
It will happen. Guaranteed.
It's it's inevitable.
It's irrational, isn't it? But like, whether the door is open or not, I'm still sitting over in this corner.
Well, the irrationality of it, though, is like whenever I see a precipice of some kind, like I do picture myself leaping off the cliff.
Yeah. Like,
and I mean, like, obviously to my death, but like there's something compelling me to get to that edge. And I want to, and I
you
don't
just got to see it.
Yes. Right. Also irrational.
Yeah. You should do parkour, Dave. And then you can like jump off things and survive.
I would love to, I have been wanting to do parkour for 15 years, never did it.
I don't think we can at our age anymore.
I mean, at our advanced age, probably not.
Yeah,
but I mean,
very advanced ages.
Right. But I'd still, I'm going to, you know what?
Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
After this recording, we're going to jump off this apartment building. There's some bushes, but
if you know how to fall, you've got it. And
take a bump.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go. We're good. But yeah, at one point, Harry realizes, like, you know what? Why are we threatening each other? Like,
Right.
we're old friends. Like, we get along. He closes the door, and he starts to play nice a little bit. And I think he's trying to get him to back off the case. You know, like, hey, you know, it's all good. Like, everything's fine. You can just go and, go our separate ways. And if you ever want to talk to me, you can send a message to Kurtz, and I'll meet with you. But just you, no police, nobody else, only you.
Right.
And which is kind of, I felt kind of strange. Like, he would offer to meet with him anytime he wanted to.
Well, because I'm sure that at some point he's going to offer to cut him in. Because what's the best
Oh,
way to keep Holly quiet?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe he's going to try to get him involved.
Yeah.
Another guy he trusts who knows idolizes him. And
yeah.
What easier way to get him involved than to kind of show him what he's getting into?
Yes, and also too, just even if he doesn't want to even have like Holly do anything, if he just pays him off, just be my friend,
right? Yeah,
and
I'll
I'll take care of you.
Yeah, I'll give you some money if you stay quiet.
Yep,
that kind of stuff. And there is one moment where I think Holly asks him about Anna or something, and he kind of blows it off and has no concern with how Anna is dealing with all this stuff.
Right.
And I think that really makes Holly go against Harry.
Yes, and he even realizes in the moment that the only reason Calloway and the Soviets knew about where Anna was because Harry told them.
Yeah.
And he dimed on her completely.
Yeah.
And she's fiercely loyal to him, today.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, he doesn't really give a shit about anyone except himself.
Right.
And Holly realizes this in the scene, and yeah, that's why he's kind of torn with helping him or turning him in or not. Like he's his friend, but he's done some horrible shit.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have a friend who, like someone who's been there for you, your whole life apparently, even knowing that they did this, it's still someone you actually cared about.
Yeah.
And you can't reconcile what they've done. I mean, like, it's obvious. And Harry just admitted it. It's been corroborated. He definitely did this. But he was still, when you're friends with somebody, when it's someone you care about, it's hard.
Yeah, it definitely is. And so, Martin...
Holly Martins.
Holly Martins.
Yes.
Martin. Holly Martins goes and tells Calloway what happened. And yeah, he'll meet me anywhere, anytime I want to meet him.
Yes.
But as long as I don't bring the cops. so of course Calloway wants to set up a sting operation.
Right.
And he refuses to help him. He's not going to do it. Like, he's my friend, and I promised him, I would meet just him. Why would he go to tell Calloway anyway if he didn't want him to do a sting?
This part of the movie too, it's not, I don't dislike it, but it's too much of Holly vacillating between whether or not he's actually going to participate in this.
I agree. I was going to mention it. It feels like the romantic comedy back and forth.
Yes.
Will they? Won't they? 5-minute wait. Bullshit.
Right.
Now in this scene, I do like it. It's the first instance of it. They could have just left it at this.
Yeah.
But in this scene, I think this is when the Soviets come in to get the passport for Anna and stuff, and the passport's on the table, and Holly sees that it's there, and he knows that she's going to get deported now, and he asks Calloway, like, what price would you pay for Harry Lime? And he says, name it, which is a good response. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Anna's going to get her freedom if he turns in Harry.
Right.
Yeah. So then we go to the train station, and we see Anna is being let free. She's being put on the train to go wherever she needs to go, get out of here. She's not going to deal with the Soviets or anything. She's all free to go.
I think she's on a train to Paris.
It's to Paris. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's getting out of there.
Right.
And Holly, for some reason, has to be there to see her off secretly. And so he's like in a diner, like watching her get on the train.
Yes.
And like moping in his coffee because of what he's doing to his friend. And he's never going to see Anna again and all that stuff. Not really liking his decision, I guess. And then she sees him from the train and is like, what the hell is this guy doing here? So she gets off the train and confronts him immediately and knows what happened. It's like, okay, so you turned in Harry for my freedom. Screw this. She's pissed.
I mean, Holly is interfering in her life.
Yeah. She wants Harry.
Right.
She wants to be with him.
And we know what Harry said and how he's completely uncaring for her. And I don't think that matters to Anna, even knowing all that. I mean, he could like relay word for word what Harry said, and it wouldn't change her feelings.
Yeah.
Which is sick.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes me wonder if she would go along with all this stuff if she knew about it, because of how how wrapped around his finger she is.
I have a feeling that she would, even if she didn't get involved. I mean, like, well, yeah, maybe she would, like, make some deliveries or whatever. I mean, it's possible. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, she's just like a crime guy's wife, you know?
Yeah.
She knows about it. She's not doing it, but she knows about all of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So they get in a big argument. It's a great scene. It's a really good scene.
I know.
She just really blows up on him, and if he hadn't even come here, like, the whole thing would have played out, like, fine, right? Like,
right.
So he kind of, like, botched it by doing
yes.
this. Because, I kind of hate him in this moment, like, for coming here.
I know, because he did blow it. I mean, like, Anna was on her way to a new life. And
a better life.
Yes. And even if she missed Harry the rest of her days, then she would have been living in freedom. And Holly can then go back to Callaway and participate in the sting.
Yeah.
And bring Harry to justice.
Like, Anna would probably know none of this stuff.
Right.
I mean, she might hear about it sometime, who knows, but, like, in this situation, it's the ignorance is bliss.
Of
you
course.
know, she thinks that he's still dead, and even though he was a bad person, I'm just going to move on with my life.
Yeah, that's right. She does think he's still dead, so, like, maybe news would never reach her.
Yeah, so Holly blew this, and now he's going back on his plan.
Right.
Anna is not leaving town, and so, like, Martin's.
It's okay, you got it.
My notes all say Martin's.
Yeah, Martin's
Sorry.
is fine.
He goes back to Callaway and tells him, I'm going back on the plan. Deal's off. And so Callaway takes him to the hospital. It makes Holly change his mind. He's like, all right, you win. Let's do this.
Man, Holly, it should not have taken this trip to the hospital for you to, like, make this decision. I mean, like, I know seeing it, in person is different.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, you had proof. You had proof from Callaway. You had proof from Harry.
Yeah. I think to fix our issue with the back and forth of this, they could have just restructured a couple of the scenes, right? Like, this teddy bear stuff could have been part of the initial reveal of what's happening.
You're right.
And then he could still go to the train station. He just doesn't change his mind,
That's right.
It just continues on. Like, they didn't have to flip-flop.
After the slideshow, they should have taken him to the meningitis ward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily. Or at least just show the pictures of it. It wouldn't be as effective.
Right.
But if they had the slides of it and the filmmakers presented it as powerfully as it should be, like, it would be just as impactful.
That's true.
It's fine.
Yes.
But yeah, so now we do get the sting operation. And Martin's is in a cafe and he's waiting there for Harry to show up.
Yeah.
But outside in the shadows and all the hiding places are all the police officers. They're waiting for him.
Right.
Yeah.
They've surrounded the place, and this is where we get that shadow play. Callaway and Payne are spying on the meeting place, and behind them is this great building, this big facade, and because of the street lamps, the way they're throwing the shadow on this side of the street, the other side of the street is illuminated, and that facade is pretty bright. But then coming around the corner is this looming shadow, and it could be anyone, but because your shadow is 20 times bigger than you are, it's ominous. And when you see that it's this guy with balloons, you're like, okay, it was just a diversion, it was a red herring. But when the guy comes up and he's now in close-up with Payne, Kurtz is not the weirdest looking guy in this movie. It's the balloon man.
Yes, it is.
And he will not go away.
Yeah, it's an elderly gentleman.
Yes.
He's kind of hunched over. He's got a bundle of balloons in one hand and like a cane in the other or something. He's barely able to walk, and he's out like hustling the streets with balloons in the middle of the night.
Selling balloons at 3 a.m.
There's no one on these streets.
I mean, the guy's obviously out of his tree.
Is there like drugs in the balloons?
It must be that. Yes, it's got to be some kind of like thing where either this guy doesn't know who he is or it's something else.
Yeah. So, but it is unsettling to see this even be here because it is out of place.
He's being friendly, but this is not a friendly smile.
Yeah, and he's got like hillbilly teeth and stuff, and it's like, oh man.
Right.
I don't know if I should buy a balloon from this guy.
This is a man from the hills.
Yes. And so they end up buying one balloon from him to get rid of him. And they run back to the little shadows behind the steps, and then we see, I guess Anna shows up, and she goes into the cafe to confront Holly.
Right.
And she demands like to know what's going on. I think she says, "What's your price this time?" to him, which is a great line. And so they're all like worried she's gonna blow things, and like we see outside, like up along the rooftop of some of the buildings across from the cafe, it's kind of like some of the roof is kind of destroyed from the war, and like others aren't. And up on the roof appears Harry Lime, and he's standing there. He looks like Batman, like over the city.
I mean, yes.
It's a great shot.
Right.
And he's looking down at the cafe, and he sees Anna's in there talking to him. And I think he notices, like, all right, there's police everywhere. Like, he knows what's going on.
Yes.
He's not an idiot. He knows that the Calloway is here.
Right. And even if he really loves Holly from way back, he's probably suspicious of everybody, even more so than any of us would be. Because when you've committed this big of a crime and you're on the lam, I mean, you're obviously always going to suspect that everything you go to is a setup. Oh yeah, yeah. At this point, you have to.
Yeah. And so like he sneaks into like the back of the building somehow, and he gets in there, and he opens the door and he pulls out his pistol, and he's gonna shoot him. And Anna sees him there, and it's like, "Hey, no, don't shoot! Like the cops are gonna hear it, and you got to get out of here."
Right.
So, because I think what's the other officer's Price or Payne? Payne was already coming towards the building to get Anna out of there. So he comes in right as Harry has his gun out, and so like a big chase ensues here because now they all know he's here, and they're gonna get him.
Right.
So they end up chasing him through the city, and it's even better than the one with Holly because you get to see so much more, especially in the sewers.
I mean, yeah, because once they get down in the sewers, then like Calloway and all of his men, it's now like 40 guys who are, pursuing Harry. And Holly is there with them. It's weird that they've kind of like deputized him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
it is.
He has the same authority with this weapon that
later he's told to shoot him.
Right.
Like if he sees him. It's like, really? This place has no like law.
I mean, yeah, essentially.
Do whatever you want.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, so they're running through the shadows and like all these really long tunnels, and just seeing everyone going down them in the shadows, all coming around, and it's all wet too because it's the sewer, and there's the water splashing, and the visuals are just stunning in this sequence.
I mean, yeah, like even apart from the shadows, like just seeing all the wet walls, I mean, like you really can't take your eyes off of it. And then there's lighting in there, but it's Harry knows where all the angles are. He's been through these sewers a million times, and he knows better than his pursuers where he can hide. And he knows where he'll emerge if he goes up, one of these tunnels.
Yep. And we see him like climbing down from like a second level to a lower level because he knows like guards are coming from this one pipe, and he gets down and out of the way. But they end up like they often like catch up to him, but he's just out of reach, right? So they haven't lost him, but they can't get him, and so they lose him eventually. And he ends up hiding in like some like opening somewhere, and I think this is where Holly ends up seeing him, right? He like yells at him like, "Hey, stop, turn yourself in." And I think Payne is here also. Payne ends up trying to shoot. Well, does Payne fire? He doesn't fire, does he? He tells him to freeze or something.
Right.
And Harry Lime ends up shooting Payne and killing him. Unfortunately, the best cop in the movie, actually.
Yeah, I yes, right. Payne, like getting shot was pretty devastating, and but like this is where Holly takes Payne's gun and pursues Harry because Payne missed, but Calloway gets Harry.
Yeah, he like gets him in the back
right
as he's fleeing.
And Harry then like he is able to run away and hide some more, but like Holly can track him down now because he's been injured.
Yeah, I found it weird that Calloway just stayed with Payne and let Holly pursue Harry Lime.
Yeah.
And that's when he yells like, "Hey, if you get him, shoot him."
Okay, dude, so you're the military and you're telling me I can do this?
You say, "Hey, civilian from another country, wait here."
I know.
It's because Holly just grabs Payne's gun and just takes after him.
It's so irresponsible.
And so Harry gets to like a dead end, but it's another spiral case going up to leave. So he's like crawling, like pulling himself up because he's been shot in the back. He's barely able to move. And he's trying to flee. It's like Brendan Gleeson in Bruges.
It reminded me so much of that too. I know.
So he gets to the top where there's like a sewer grate, and he tries to put his fingers through and push, and he just can't. And it's a good shot too. You see the fingers coming through, and then they like fall back down.
Right.
And so Holly catches up to him, and Harry looks at him and like kind of gives him a smile and a nod, like, okay, yeah, shoot me.
Right.
And then the camera, we're back with Payne and Calloway, and we just hear a big bang. And then Holly walks out of the darkness and towards the camera, and I guess he fired and killed Harry.
Now, in addition to Holly wildly exceeding any kind of civilian authority he has with this firearm, not only did Calloway allow this to happen, Holly murdered Harry.
It's cold blood.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not okay that he said, all right, friend, kill me. No, he's helpless.
Right, yes.
Keep him alive. Find the good penicillin.
Take us to the supply.
Yeah.
Yes.
Show us where your stuff is.
Right.
Tell us everything.
And we're going to, yes,
and
we're
we'll
going to
fix
have
you
due
up.
process.
Yeah. No, we're not having this Oklahoma kid justice.
Man. Yeah, we're gonna make sure that you serve a life sentence. And after you make this right.
Yeah, we're gonna get the money from you. We're gonna get the medicine from you.
Yep.
And you're gonna pay.
Right.
And you're not gonna get killed by your friend because you said it's okay. And because the major said it's okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of yeah, dude. This is like frontier justice.
It
for
is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really cool, like, effective ending, though.
Oh, I know. Right.
It's great.
Yeah, it's cinematic.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, it's not gonna fly in the eyes of the law.
Right.
So, yeah, dude. So, yeah, that's that.
Yes.
And we cut to the real funeral for Harry Lime.
Right. Yeah, and it's I like the efficiency of the German funeral. That like the priest is just like passing incense, over, and then he just
like,
gets a little more dirt. Okay, yeah, we're here.
Dump some there.
Uh-huh.
Do you want any? No. Okay,
Yep.
you. No.
Yep.
All right, we're good. Done.
Right. Cross himself, and we're out.
Yeah.
And we see Anna again walking away, and this time she looks even angrier. And I like too that Holly is now getting a ride from Calloway again, and Holly asks Calloway, "Listen, can you make sure Anna is taken care of?" And Calloway's like, "I will if she lets me."
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Calloway, even if Anna does like spit on his offer, is probably going to do something for her.
I would
I
hope
think
so.
Yes.
Yeah, like actually get her out of here this time.
Right.
Like for real. I mean, I guess he can't do anything she doesn't want to do, right?
Or give her just make sure that she ends up with an Austrian passport.
Yeah, like those are the options.
Yes.
It's that or back to the Soviet Union.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
So yeah, she's got to do something. But he also asked Calloway to stop the car and let him get out.
Yes.
Because he needs to, have a moment with her. So he grabs his bag and he ends up like leaning against this wagon that's on the side of the road as Calloway pulls away. So the shot here is brilliant, if you ask me. It's a big, huge, like wide master shot of this street coming out of the cemetery. And Anna has been walking. So she's walking from way in the distance towards the camera down the middle of the street. And Holly is leaning against this wagon in the foreground, like on the left. And she just keeps getting closer and closer. And he's standing there. And it goes on for maybe a minute of us just waiting for her to get close to him and then something to happen. And as she approaches him, she just keeps walking without acknowledging him at all. And then walks straight past the camera.
Right.
And I love Holly's response is he doesn't say anything or do anything. He kind of just lights a cigarette and stands there leaning against this wagon. And that's it. Fade to the end.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you didn't get the girl, dude.
He didn't deserve the girl.
No.
And she didn't love him. so they don't get together. And I love that aspect of this story.
Right, and they shouldn't.
Right.
And I don't know if that was his expectation or if he just wanted to have some kind of closure with her.
I think in this moment he wants some closure. And Anna won't even give him that.
Yeah.
And I respect her feelings and her wishes. I wish that she loved a better man.
Yeah.
Even if it's not Holly. Actually, steer clear of Holly. He's not the best guy either.
Yeah, he sucks.
Right.
He's a cold-blooded murderer.
Yes, yeah, that's true. He did just, yeah.
He kills his best friends.
Yeah. Right. Holly's not good.
Not at all, dude. So I love him just being left there.
Yes.
To suck on his own cigarette. That's
absolutely, man. And yeah, and the filmmaking part of it too, I really appreciate that they you talk about letting something take their time. I mean, yeah, Anna is far away when that shot begins.
Yeah.
And watching Alita Volley just come down that promenade, I mean, like, she has to walk 50 yards, and that takes some time.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I'm thinking, oh, man, what if they had to do this again? I always think about that when there's a long shot.
I know.
Like, that takes a while. I'm like, man, at least this one, there's not a whole lot of setup to it, I would think.
Right.
Like
you are a stagnant
other
camera.
Yeah. So, but it's still great, man. And it's such a great ending to the film because, like you said, he doesn't deserve her.
Right.
And she doesn't want him. And we don't need that. And she's kind of at the same place she was at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Without having to deal with all the extra bullshit that this guy brought into her life.
Yes, yes, and I really hope that Calloway just signs a couple of papers and let's just keep her here in Vienna and she can go on with her career, acting on the stage, and it's all good.
Yep, and then maybe Holly will go back to the States and write a story about this. Who knows?
Yeah.
He'll really write The Third Man.
He will really write a novel called The Third Man, and it'll be a big sensation.
It'll be a huge hit.
Yes.
Big in Vienna. And
right.
So, I mean, it's a great ending to a great movie.
Yes.
Dave, do you have anything else?
A few weeks ago, we did an episode on the Burbs.
Yes.
And Brother Theodore is in this movie.
Really?
Yes. He's one of the people gathered in front of the building when everyone thinks that Holly did the murder.
Okay. That's awesome.
Isn't it?
Man. All right. That's awesome, man.
Yes.
Anything else?
And then one other thing about we skipped over it was the famous speech that Orson Welles gives at the Ferris wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Harry says to Holly, "Don't be so gloomy. After all, it's not that awful. Like the fella says, in Italy for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed. But they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. In Switzerland, they had brotherly love. They had 500 years of democracy and peace, and what did that produce? The cuckoo clock. So long, Holly." Now, that whole thing, it was, over the years, more information has been gathered about this cuckoo clock speech. Graham Greene acknowledges that it was not in his script originally and that it was added by Orson Welles. And after some investigation, we've since learned that the English painter James Whistler was speaking at a lecture in 1885, and he made that remark about the Swiss, and how their peaceful culture hasn't produced anything but the cuckoo clock. He's wrong, by the way. That is total
true.
bullshit.
Yeah.
But Welles never said that he came up with the speech himself, but he didn't know where he heard it. So in the scene when he starts the line with "like the fellow said,"
was he trying to attribute a quote to somebody,
right?
But didn't know who to attribute it to.
Didn't know who it was, right? So he acknowledges it came from somewhere else, even if he can't produce a name.
That's cool.
Uh-huh.
I like that a lot.
Right?
Yeah, and it's a pretty good speech too.
It is, yes.
So awesome, man. Would you recommend this movie?
Yes, The Third Man. Everybody, check it out.
Yep, you've got to watch it. It's the best movie about third men.
Agreed. Scott Charboneau.
Yes, the fella. All right, so that wraps things up. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to the show anywhere you get your podcast. Rate it, review it, and most of all, share it. It gets more dudes listening to the dudes. And you can go to dudesonmovies.com and find anything you need right there.
Yep, and we're on Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram. Look for Dudes on Movies, and an email address is dudesonmovies@gmail.com.
That's right, and Dave, we have a question of the week. What is the question of the week?
What movies have a significant character appear late in the film?
That's a good one. Hit us up, let us know your answers, and stay tuned next week when we discuss 1986's Blue Velvet, directed by David Lynch and starring Kyle MacLachlan and Isabella Rossellini. So until next week, I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And we'll see you next time.